VCL John Doerr, who was an early backer of renowned companies like Google and Amazon, thought the venture backed tech boom was the greatest legal creation of wealth the planet has ever seen. While he is one of the many who has reaped the rewards of the internet, there has been a new development that has been called the next internet for a couple of years. That's the metaverse. And until the generative AI got cool, it was the shiny object that had people talking. It's an immersive 3D virtual space that's parallel to the physical world that has virtual goods and real estate. But where does the idea come from? Who even thought of this? Why did they think of this? Who thinks these thoughts? Think the early 1990s. A guy called Neil Stephenson wrote a sci fi novel called The Snow Crash in 1992, and that book was the first place where the term metaverse was used. What was that about? The book envisions a VR environment that's a successor to the internet. Here's the backdrop: the global economy has collapsed and currencies are in free fall. The power of government has been relinquished to big corporations. That sounds unrealistic. The characters in the metaverse seem to have no emotion. There are gated communities called burp clubs, which are communities where the elite are protected behind guns and gates. It's so ruthless that if you take too much time to deliver a pizza, you would be shot. In the book, people want to flee this bleak dystopian reality. And so, they use digital and customized avatars of themselves to explore the online world. The metaverse's snow crash is colonized by profit seeking companies crowded with the neon glow of commercial advertising. Since there's hyperinflation, people begin to use electronic and alternative currencies which are exchanged via encrypted transactions. Can you imagine if someone did that in the real world? There's a computer hacker and pizza delivery person called Hero Protagonist, who enters the metaverse by wearing goggles and earphones. These digital avatars can walk down the street, shop, play, and watch things. The people can't teleport in the metaverse, but they can use a walk or monorail to move around. And if a person didn't have much money, there would be a public access metaverse terminals for dropping into the metaverse. That also means they would not be able to afford a custom avatar, so they would have to buy one off the shelf. But they would be looked down upon by those who had superior tech, and there would be a social stigma regarding low quality avatars. Status in the metaverse is about access to exclusive clubs and tech acumen. Actions in the metaverse could have real life consequences. In the book, hero protagonist is trying to stop a computer virus that would cause metaverse users to have brain damage in the real world. People could spend real money on the virtual real estate, which is also happening now with the blockchain enabled VR platforms like Decentraland. By the way, Decentraland, which was one valued at around $1 billion, is in a major decline in 2023. Real estate is the product of one big corporation. Just like how Meta may roll out a metaverse, though other companies in the real world are trying to go the metaverse route. The developers in the book could build their own streets and build signs, buildings, and parks, even things which may not all be there in their dystopian reality. In the book, some people have nurtured unhealthy addictions to this virtual world, never wanting to disengage and get back to the reality. These addicted people are called gargoyles. The concept seems more and more relevant considering how screen addicted we already are. In the book, many are so determined to be in the metaverse that they rig themselves to be plugged in permanently, which makes them disfigured permanently as their real self. In Snow Crash, the metaverse is not something unnecessary or something cool to do when you want to. It's deemed to be like a necessary place that's violent, addictive, and something that enables our worst impulses. After all, a majority of the people in Snow Crash are living in dire poverty and abject misery, so they need the escape. That may not be really healthy because it doesn't really solve the core problem. If this is the book that pioneered the metaverse, why aren't we raising our eyebrows more? Is the book a sign of what's to come? Something that is hyperinflationary and desolate? What do the patrons and cheerleaders of the metaverse have to say about the vision of the metaverse in the Snow Crash? Zuckerberg, for example, believes that while Snow Crash has this whole environment that's negative, it doesn't have to be that way. It's interesting because at the beginning of 2010s, it was required reading for Meta's management team. Neil Stephenson's vision in the book is that the future would be so dystopian that people are more than willing to let go of the real world, that we would engage in an escapist, immersive, and consumerist digital world that's far more appealing than what our world has to offer. This is possible if the world as we know it continues to get worse and worse. That it's uninhabitable or there's an appeal to be someone else other than you that would strongly entice you. And sure, the elevator pitch to leave the current world seems to be sound, especially considering how the world seems to be always on fire with the after effects of a pandemic, geopolitical crisis, looming recession, inequality, misery, climate change, unemployment, and more. Which may also be why colonizing Mars is being seen as an escape plan by some. So, of course, the tech folks are going to capitalize on a whole new world as a market opportunity, or even may want to engage with that fantasy. And what does Neil Stephenson think about the metaverse and others? He believes that his book would outlast Zuck's metaverse and that he has had no communication with the founder of Meta. He says that the key thing needed to build the metaverse is creating a system where people who are good at building enjoyable experiences in 3D can expect to get paid if they make something that's valuable. At 2023, despite it seeming to be the golden age of AI, it doesn't feel like the metaverse is dead yet. At Apple's WWDC 23 event, it launched a Vision Pro headset, which has gained some interest and could throw the metaverse a lifebuoy. And banks like Union Bank, PNB, DBS, and Cookman have also entered the metaverse to offer various services. So, would you use the metaverse for use cases like meeting your friends or co-workers? But the bigger questions are, would you put on a headset and log out of the real world? Or have you already logged out of the real world every time you immerse yourself in a movie, TV show, or go on a social media platform? So, is this the next step of your phasing out? Do you think your reality would come to a point that it could be that intolerable? Can the metaverse be spun into something positive and equitable, divorced from its horror origins?